Wild boars, the silent yet dangerous invaders. They don't just destroy farmlands, but also put entire rural areas on high alert. These beasts appear out of nowhere, move at lightning speed, and are ready to charge if they feel threatened. During a visit to his relatives in the suburbs, Henry witnessed the devastation firsthand, trampled crops and boar tracks everywhere. Refusing to let them run wild any longer, he decided to launch a bold hunt. After thorough preparations, Henry set out with one mission: to bring the wild boar numbers under control. Let's see how it went. At dawn, Henry arrived at the meeting point, fully geared up for the hunt. Just minutes later, the boars appeared for real. They moved swiftly through the forest, heading straight for the trail. The moment the herd paused, Henry didn't hesitate. He pulled the trigger. His careful preparation and precise shooting skills quickly earned him his first trophies. Moments later, a hail of bullets poured down so fast the boars couldn't react. They only had time to squeal before collapsing in an instant. While wandering through the forest searching for new targets, a herd of boars suddenly burst out of the dense undergrowth. Instinctively, Henry aimed for the biggest ones in the group. Each accurate shot added a new trophy, steadily closing the gap between Henry and the fleeing herd. In the middle of the trees, Henry waited silently for his target to appear. Suddenly, a dark blur streaked across his scope. Then the entire herd followed. With careful calculation, he aimed for the largest boar and pulled the trigger without hesitation. But the gunshot sent the rest bolting away. Wasting no time, the entire team shifted focus to the remaining boars, determined not to let a single one escape. The hunters didn't let up. Their rifles kept firing, maintaining relentless pressure on the herd. In just a few seconds, more boars were taken out before they could vanish into the trees. Henry was fortunate enough to drop several of them. This only fueled his excitement for the hunt and strengthened his resolve to take down even more. After a short rest, the team resumed the hunt. A herd of boars darted through the forest like lightning. Although Henry didn't have time to get a perfect look, he still squeezed off a few shots, hoping to hit his mark. In the vast forest, gunfire occasionally rang out, but the nimble boars were no easy prey. Still, the thrill of chasing such game was undeniable. Henry spotted a herd rushing past and tried to take them down, managing to drop only one before the rest vanished into the woods. Shot after carefully aimed shot fired. Henry focused on the largest boars, hoping to bring home the most impressive trophies. A clean hit to a vital spot, and the boars would fall instantly. By the end of the hunt, Henry and his team hoped that in the future, they could keep the wild boar population under control and coexist peacefully with them. That's the end of today's video. Which moment impressed you the most? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. And don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our next epic hunts. In the countryside where I live, wild boars aren't just wild animals, they're a terrifying nightmare. During the last harvest season, not only my family but the entire village had to watch as the fields were torn apart by their hooves. The damage was devastating. All our sweat and hard work went to waste, making our already tough lives even harder. We couldn't endure it any longer. I, along with my friends, decided to hunt the wild boars, hoping to drive them away from our fields. Let's begin the hunt together. We followed the mountain trail, heading toward the hills near the residential area. As soon as we arrived, the pack of elite hunting dogs couldn't hide their excitement and rushed off to search. Not long after, barking echoed the first target had appeared. It was fleeing at breakneck speed, but how could it possibly win? In just a brief moment, I fired a single shot that completely brought the wild boar down. Look at that, it's no small boar. With a body like that, it must weigh dozens of kilograms. Right after that, I hurriedly chased a wild boar along the path. Seizing the best possible opportunities, I tried to fire several shots. It wasn't until the boar attempted to cross the road that I was able to make an accurate shot. The sound of hunting dogs echoed from the other side of the mountain slope. The herd of boars suddenly panicked, scattering in all directions. My teammate and I stayed hidden, ready for the next shot. One appeared, large and fierce. The first shot didn't bring it down, but we didn't give up. We kept chasing it across slopes and through thick bushes. Finally, I found the perfect position, and the moment it entered my sights, another trophy added to today's hunt. Oh, a giant wild boar has noticed our presence. It's about to run away. You know, I definitely won't let that happen. And then, a a deadly shot was made, the target was taken down in a split second. Gunshots echoed from a far side that wild boars had appeared and were being pursued by other hunters. Once I spotted the tracks, I immediately gave chase. The herd was running incredibly fast. Even though I tried to aim and shoot, bringing them down wasn't easy. The chase went on, and I had to keep running after the wild boars. After a long and exhausting pursuit, I finally caught up and fired. But I only managed to take down one. The rest escaped out of sight just in time. From the rugged mountains, wild boars often make their way down to the fields in search of easier food. They don't just forage, they turn the rice paddies into ideal hiding places. But for farmers, this is a never-ending battle. These boars have grown increasingly aggressive, showing no hesitation in attacking livestock and even people. Understanding the severity of the situation, we're always ready to fight, day or night. At this point, hunting seems to be the most effective solution. Even though it was already late in the day, I still wanted to hunt a few more wild boars. Over on a distant mountainside, one suddenly dashed past. I quickly raised my rifle and pulled the trigger repeatedly. After that burst of gunfire, my teammates and I had successfully taken down one more target. After a long day of chasing, ambushing, and fighting, we brought back many valuable trophies. But more importantly, we know that the battle against wild boars is far from over. We don't wish for this conflict to go on forever, because our ultimate goal is to live in peace without clashes between humans and these wild animals. Thank you for following today's journey. We hope this video brought you some relaxing and enjoyable moments. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. If you think feral pigs are just a problem for the states, if you're in the South like Texas or Florida, look to the northwest of the United States, where Idaho's wilderness is struggling to fight off a fearsome invader, feral hogs. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, a herd of pigs can destroy more than 20 acres of farmland overnight, causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in crop damage each season. but the physical damage is nothing compared to the real danger when you encounter them in the dark. Our trip this time started with a warning from a local, and that night we were truly surrounded. In the quiet of the night, despite limited visibility, thanks to the thermal scope, the target was clearly visible. I followed closely, then chose a perfect ambush position and was ready to fire. Just a moment later, gunshots rang out, tearing through the night. The wild boar fell immediately, quickly, decisively. A worthy end for the one who had destroyed the crops and lives of the people here. In extreme excitement, we continued to shoot at other wild boars. I always tried to aim straight at the head or lungs, where I could take down the target most quickly.
Hey.
The herd of wild boars here was really large. In the darkness, through the thermal scope, I could see dozens of dark figures moving silently among the bushes. But we had prepared in advance. One shot, one kill, that was the rule. And to get such shooting technique, we had to go through hundreds of hours of non-stop field training. But our goal did not stop there. Determined to hunt even bigger wild boars, the group continued to look far away, straining their eyes to search for even the smallest movement in the darkness. And then it appeared. A large wild boar, walking slowly with a high alert look. But we were ready. From the ambush position, I kept calm, waiting for it to get within the ideal distance. That was when a single bullet hit it straight in the head. The boar stopped and collapsed on the spot, making the group unable to hide their excitement. So we kept trying, taking down a few more targets one by one, accurately and neatly. At this time, the wild boars seemed to have sensed the approaching danger. They began to panic and run away. However, thanks to the thermal scope, I could clearly observe even the smallest movements. In the view through the thermal scope, I discovered a giant wild boar slowly moving ahead. I quietly approached, trying to get as close as possible to ensure an accurate shot. However, there were quite a few targets who escaped. Not letting the wild boars escape, we immediately divided into groups and quickly chased in the direction the herd had just fled. As soon as we reached the ideal ambush position, I immediately opened fire and took down the first wild boar. After that, I continued to adjust the gun and shoot the others. The herd of wild boars panicked and ran away, hiding under the green trees and disappearing behind the hill. We were still determined to pursue the wild boars to the end. The whole group carefully observed, not giving any wild boar a chance to escape. Gunshots rang out continuously. Therefore, every few minutes, gunshots rang out, signaling that more wild boars had been taken down. The night was late, but we still did not rest. At this time, giant black shadows were leisurely forging in the fields, unaware that death was near. I held my breath, aimed carefully, then pulled the trigger. When I had aimed at the target, I quickly fired. The loud sound made the pigs panic and run away. However, our group of hunters did not let them escape. All carefully adjusted their guns, trying to take down the entire herd of pigs. Deep in the heart of the American South, the state of Oklahoma is under relentless attack, not by an army, but by a creature many once thought harmless: wild feral hogs. An estimated 1.5 million feral hogs roam Oklahoma's fields, forests, and farms. Each year, they cause over $60 million in damages, destroying crops, tearing up irrigation systems, wrecking infrastructure, and even endangering the safety of local residents. So today, we came prepared with helicopters and high-powered weaponry, ready for a high-speed chase against the beasts that have been terrorizing the countryside. As the sun rose, our chopper lifted off. Below us, in the thin woods and torn-up cornfields, a herd of hogs was already on the move, tearing through the land like a living storm. We moved in fast, but don't be fooled, these hogs are not easy to catch. Every shot needs to be pinpoint accurate. A single misfire, and they'll vanish into the brush in seconds. Amid the roar of the rotors, I kept firing, aiming at the massive hogs sprinting below us across the churned-up fields. With aerial vision, Charlotte was landing her shots with deadly precision, each hog dropping in a cloud of dirt and dust. The helicopter circled the field, its engine screaming through the open sky. These hogs usually hide in thick brush or tall grass, but from the sky, they have nowhere to hide. One clean shot, and they're down on the spot. Suddenly, a large group burst out from ahead. The first shot dropped one instantly. The rest scattered in all directions, a textbook hog reaction. But it was too late. Every escape route had already been locked in. One by one, they were taken down by precision fire from above. In this chase, our instinct was no match for aerial speed and firepower. As we moved on to the next group, I kept firing but missed. That's when I realized shooting from the air is a completely different game than hunting on the ground. It's exhilarating. After missing multiple targets, I began to adapt. Watching how my teammate handled his weapon, I mimicked his hand movements, adjusted my aim based on the herd's direction. I wasn't perfect, but I could feel myself improving. And I knew right then this kind of skill comes from rigorous training and experience. From above, we spotted movement in a thick patch of brush. We hovered, watching. The land here is dry and rugged. Maybe that's why the hogs in this region aren't particularly large. But don't be fooled. Even at just a few dozen kilos, they're more than capable of ripping through farmland and devastating crops. They adapt fast, and that's what makes them so dangerous. There are so many hogs here. The ones we've taken down today are just a small fraction of the whole. That's why our team remains determined not to let any get away. The herd scattered trying to flee, but it was no use. We stayed on them, hunting them down one by one. Our hunt stretched into the late afternoon. But as you can imagine, wild hogs continue to breed and hide, forcing helicopter hunting teams to fly missions every single week. This battle, no matter how thrilling, is far from over. Oklahoma, along with many other states, is still calling for more resources, tougher laws, and stronger community involvement to stop this invasive menace. For months now, people across parts of Turkey and Europe have been living in fear as wild boars suddenly appear in overwhelming numbers. These animals don't just destroy crops, they attack livestock and even pose a threat to human lives. Thousands of hectares of farmland have been torn apart overnight. In response to this crisis, skilled hunters have stepped in, and in today's video, we'll bring you heart-pounding chases and intense face-offs between humans and these destructive wild boars. So without further delay, let's dive right in. The video opens with a hunting expedition led by Tony, a seasoned marksman navigating the rugged slopes of Mount Ararat, Turkey. Despite the dense pine forests and treacherous terrain, Tony patiently tracks the wild boars that appeared just the night before. After more than an hour, the boars finally emerge, briefly visible along a hillside. But there's still too far he needs to get closer. Sticking to the main path, Tony chooses a prime firing position, anticipating their route. The moment his target appears, he fires without hesitation. The massive boar crashes to the ground, completely neutralized. Tony's skill, patience, and nerve, those are his most powerful weapons in this battle. Also in the Rocky Mountain region of Turkey, John, a young but remarkably courageous hunter, faces a fast-moving herd of wild boars weaving through the trees in an attempt to escape. From his perfect ambush position, John wastes no time. As soon as the boars enter his firing range, he opens fire. Every shot hits its mark, throwing the herd into chaos. Some try to turn and flee, but none escape his relentless pursuit. John's speed and reflexes are truly impressive, but what stands out even more is his ability to read the terrain and predict the enemy's path. Absolutely astonishing. Leaving Turkey behind, we now head to southern France, where Jack, a farmer-turned-hunter, found himself with no choice but to take up arms after his fields were repeatedly ravaged. Fast, precise, and decisive shots ended the chaos in an instant. No mercy. Meanwhile, Jack's companions were far from idle. They too had locked onto targets and were giving it their all, pressing forward, waiting for the right moment to strike. After hours of intense tracking and pursuit, several wild boars were brought down. It was the price they paid for the destruction they had caused. In a different turn of events, unlike most hunters, Carlos chose a more strategic path. He spent over 3 days surveying the area and setting up large traps at key spots where wild boars were known to pass. Each trap was carefully prepared, baited with fresh, aromatic corn. Just as he predicted, when the herd appeared, they were quickly drawn in by the well-placed bait. While they eagerly devoured their feast, the trap suddenly snapped shut. Most of a herd was caught instantly. This is a perfect example of how, in the battle against these destructive creatures, it takes more than strength, it takes brains. up the video is an absolutely unique moment from Felix, a seasoned hunter living near the Balkan Mountains. During one of his trips, he unexpectedly stumbled upon a group of wild boars. Of course, there's no way he could pass up a rare opportunity like this. Felix raised his rifle, aimed straight at the lead boar, and decisively pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the mountains, startling the herd awake. It was already too late. Felix unleashed a rapid series of follow-up shots, leaving the boars no chance to react. This was likely the most unexpected and effective ambush of Felix's entire life. And that brings today's video to an end. What are your thoughts on today's hunting journey? Drop us a comment below and let us know. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.